Van walls are curved, twisted and full of weird angles. But if you want a professional van conversion, then your cladding needs to be dead straight. Now a lot of first time van builders, they don't realise that commercial panel vans were designed just to haul cargo, not to have perfectly plumbed cabinets installed inside them. Now if you get this wrong, at this crucial framing stage, the mistakes are going to multiply. Your entire build will look like a funhouse, and your cabinets, they won't sit flush. You're going to get annoying squeaks when you drive, and worst of all, you're going to lose incredibly valuable living space. So today, I'm showing you exactly how to frame and level these walls perfectly so your final cladding goes on flawlessly. We are now covering how to find your baseline, exactly how to attach wood to the metal without drilling through the outside of your van, precise packing method I use to stop any rocking, and how to tackle the absolute nightmare angles around the windows. Wait until you see how flush the finish is at the end of the video. It completely transforms the space. Now, figuring out these angles, knowing exactly where to screw into those metal ribs and how to frame these structures took me a lot of trial and error to get perfect. You really don't want to make a mistake here because the wood is expensive, and making the wrong cut or drilling into the wrong part of your van's bodywork is an absolute nightmare you want to avoid. If you want to skip the headaches, the wasted materials and the endless hours of YouTube scrolling trying to piece it all together, then I've put together the Peugeot Boxer Conversion Blueprint. This is the exact step-by-step structural guide I use. It gives you the precise blueprint to frame, insulate and build out your own van like a professional, right from day one. Now I've taken all the guesswork out of the measurements and structural framework so that you can focus on the build. So do yourself a favour, grab it in the link in the description or the pinned comment and save yourself weeks of frustration. Now let's get back to these walls. So step one is establishing a bloody baseline. We aren't just firing screws randomly into the van's sheet metal. I'm screwing these initial timbers directly into the van's strongest structural points, the horizontal and vertical metal ribs. Now this is going to give us a rock solid foundation. You have to trace the lines of the ribs and plan your timber layout so that when your cladding goes on later, you actually have something solid to nail or screw into. Now when you're doing this, you have to be hyper conscious about the inside space. So every single millimetre counts in a van. If you use timbers that are too thick for your framing, you are literally robbing yourself of living space. Your bed might not even fit properly. The walkway is going to get tighter and your van is going to feel completely cramped. So we use a thinner profile timber just to save us that little bit on space. Now because it's thinner, we have to make sure it's absolutely rigid. The main problem you'll immediately run into is that the van bows outwards, but our timber needs to sit perfectly straight. Now if you hold a straight piece of wood against the curved van rib, there's going to be a lot of big gaps. Now if I just take out my drill and tighten the screw all the way down into the gap, the wood simply bends to the shape of the van. Self-explanatory, right? Now that completely defeats the purpose of the framing. So how do we fix it? How do we keep that wood straight against a curved wall? Now I've spent 25 years obsessing over these being perfectly square. Starting in the joinery workshop, building doors and windows when I was about 15 years old. The secret to a perfect professional finish is packing. I'm taking some time at the workstation to cut down a bunch of 6mm plywood packers. These are just small little shims of wood that are simply just going to slide behind the main framing timbers. So here is the exact process of how it all works. You hold your timber up and put a long spirit level against it. You find the point where the timber naturally touches the metal rib. That's your high spot. So secure that end first. Then you just look at the rest of the timber, and wherever there's a gap between the wood and the metal, you just measure that gap and you slide the right amount of 6mm plywood packers behind it before you even drive a screw in. But in this case we are actually using some different coloured packers just in case the gap's slightly smaller or bigger than 6mm. And if you notice, I did actually screw the main timbers straight to the ribs first, and then I put an extra piece of timber on the front, and that was my levelling piece to get it nice and straight, and that worked perfectly for this build. Now we're also adding these packers behind the timbers whenever there's a dip in the van's natural shape. Now the golden rule here is absolutely zero rocking. So when you push hard against that timber with your hand, it shouldn't move, flex or even squeak. You just need to check it with your level, pack the gap and drive a screw in. And then you check it with a level again, just to make sure. Because sometimes when you put the screw in, it might pull the timber ever so slightly in and you'll get a little rock in your level. You're going to want this framing dead straight, so take your time. I cannot stress enough, if you spend an extra hour getting this foundation perfectly right, you will save yourself 10 hours of absolute misery when you try to put the cladding on, your shower tray down or your pre-laminated custom furniture in later. Now, moving on to the absolute thickest part of the entire van build, these window frames. When you cut a massive hole in the side of your van for a window, you expose the inner and outer skin of the metal. So framing around this is brutal because the angles here are just going in every direction. In my case, these windows were already, because it was an old minibus. The metal slopes up, it curves in, and I'm trying to marry a square piece of timber to it. It is enough to make you want to walk away and take a rest for the rest of the day. But I wanted to do something really special here for Perry. He's going to be spending a lot of time in this van, and I don't want to blindly box these windows in like you see on a lot of the standard conversions. I want to build a custom, highly usable shelf right where these windows are. It's a massive quality of life upgrade. Once he gets out on the road, imagine waking up, opening your blinds and having a solid, perfectly level shelf right there to put your morning coffee on, your phone or your gear. So building this takes an immense patience. You are consistently battling the curve of the van against a straight line of that bloody shelf. So first you have to create a template for the exact curve of the van, so you can transfer that straight onto your timber. Then I'm using no more than those 6mm packers to level the shelf supports perfectly through the van's contours. You have to make sure brackets supporting the shelf are tied directly into the van's structural ribs so that you can actually hold some weight. It's a lot of measuring, testing the fit, taking it back to the saw, shaving off a few millimeters and then testing it again. But when you finally get it locked in, the result of a custom structural frame that maximises every single inch of available space turns dead area around the window into a functional piece of furniture. And there it is. Take a look down that line. There's no wobbles, no flex, no wasted space. They're completely flush. We have took a warped, curved, incredibly awkward metal box and gave it a perfectly plumb, rock solid wooden skeleton. Getting this right is the difference between a DIY van looking professional, just like a high-end motorhome. So when the cladding goes onto this framework, it's going to look absolutely incredible. All those straight lines will make the rest of the furniture build a breeze. If you stick around for the next video, you'll see exactly how the cladding goes on and completely transforms this empty metal space into a warm, inviting home. If you want the exact dimensions, the material list, the structural guides, to do this yourself without frustrating the guesswork, don't forget to grab the Peugeot Boxer Conversion Blueprint down in the description. Hit that like button if this packing and levelling trick helps you out. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the rest of this incredible build. And I'll see you guys on the next one.